Welcome to another round of trying to predict who will win AFL matches and getting some correct and the rest completely wrong, even after doing loads of research. Yeah, that was a weird intro, but let's get on to picking round 11. Well, we do have to look back at round 10 first, and we had some certainly interesting results, starting over in Darwin for the Gold Coast versus Hawthorn. Well, I did Hawthorn by 12. They lost to Gold Coast by 8. Look, I think this was a home away from home advantage, both playing well this season, and Gold Coast came out on top, so I get absolutely nothing for the first game, which is a bit of a shame. But things did look up, because the Mighty Bloods, we managed to win again. Sydney versus Carlton. Carlton are crap, aren't they? So it's not necessarily saying much. We won by 16. I did them to win by 6. And I know it's interesting because I know a lot of people doubting Swans, and I completely understand because, you know, we are struggling with our attack at the moment with injuries. Amati was back. Yes, he got a couple of goals in the end. It wasn't anything amazing, but we did get over the line, and we'll take that. It will help us push up the table now. So that's good. 1.5 points. Next, Collingwood versus Crows. And yeah, it wasn't ridiculously a large margin. I did Collingwood by 18. They won by 10, so I do get that close score. I am amazed that only 7% of people went for Crows. I know Collingwood are top, but yeah, it just seems a little bit harsh. But I don't care because I got it right, and so did lots of people. 1.5 points for that. Next was Giants versus Freo, and this sums up Freo. Do they stay on the bus, or do they actually join and play the game? This week they played the game. This is the issue though with Freo, and I think, you know, the facts that they are 5 wins, 5 losses sums that up. You don't know what team is turning up for them. But they did get off the bus this week, and they beat Giants, who had a decent win, I think, last week, but very much the same there at both the teams. 5 wins, 5 losses. I get absolutely nothing. Well done, 14%. They were certainly the underdogs in this game, but well done for you there. Next game was Port versus Geelong. It was at the Oval, which makes me very, very surprised how Port did so bad. They are falling apart. I remember this season I started watching AFL, and Port were crap. They are, you know, they've had moments now. They've been good. They are dropping off big time now. They're still within a shout, obviously. There's not a lot of difference. You know, if you look at 15th place Port, they are 4 points off 8th, 8 points off 5th. So, you know, 4 points away. You know, they just a little bit of run for a lot of these teams, and you're in the top 8. So we'll see. 1 point for the win. A decent performance by the Cats for sure. Next up, Dogs versus Essendon, and Essendon got blown away, didn't they? They got blown away by a Bulldogs team who is, you know, they are showing some real quality at the moment, aren't they? They really, really are. No one got a close score. I did Dogs by 18. They won by 91. A huge, huge win. 1 point, though, for the result. And Essendon, are they now plummeting? Maybe. That is what they normally do. Next, Richmond versus North. And look, North, they get another win. They're now 2 wins this season. I'm so happy for North. Look, they're not the team I support. But you see them every week. They're so plucky. They try their hardest. They haven't really been able to get over the finish line multiple times now. And they've had good opportunities. But this week, just gone, they did it. I did North by 6. They won by 4. So they did only just squeeze past Richmond. But they will take that. It won't mean anything. They're not going to finish in the top 8. But maybe it's a sign that they're progressing. You know, they're doing better than they did last year, I think. Pretty sure. So that's good. 1.5 points for me there. Next, Lions versus D's. And Lions have slipped now 2 weeks in a row with a draw against North and a loss against the D's. But D's did perform really, really well. Like, I was watching most of it, and they showed the quality that we've expected from them in recent years, but they just are not doing it enough, consistently enough. But once again, they're still in a big chance of making top 8. There's plenty of more games to go, plenty more points up for grabs. They've just got to try and improve that consistency and show that quality. Nothing for me for that game, though. And the last game was West Coast versus Saints. And all I'm gonna direct this to Cardi. Cardi, your team sucks. Saints are awful. I know the feeling because I'm a Southampton fan. The Saints in the Premier League sucks as well. But to lose to West Coast, man. To lose to West Coast, that is embarrassing. Sorry. Yeah, I did Saints win by 26. I thought, how the hell are they going to lose? They actually lost by 28 to West Coast. So nothing for me on the last game of the week. Right, the league table then after round 10. And we have Aussie Dylan in number 1 spot. Now pushing away just over 1 point ahead. DJD down 1 to second. The golden hat goes to Magpie Borley. RPN in 4th. Topo in 21st. So the top 5... 21st, Topo 21 in 5th, sorry. The top 5 has not changed. Everyone is still in the top 5. Swanee Steve is up 5 to 6th. Vam H down 2 to 7th. Benjamin up 7 to 8th. Magpie Steve up 7 to 9th. Warwick is down 6th to 10th. That is the top 10. Let's see any big movers. From starting here, there is not a lot of motion going on, is there? But let's see if there's... I want to see some big movers. Doofus up 12. Off the bottom is down 14. Bluey up 19. Lions up 13. Well done. Up 17, Boggy. Down 34 is Leonidas. Down 34? 234. Down 16. I just cannot get my numbers out today. Down 16, Paul. Kev down 9. Banana Jojo up 10. Down 19 is Seashell. Up Jackson. Jackson, 2 years ago's winner. I keep saying that every time I see his name. Up 28. Very, very good. Hazy up 20. Look, there's a lot of going up here, isn't there? A lot of going up. Down 22, Ryan Y and Naked Meeple. Down 34, Giants 4. Ouch, that is a big, big down. And not even got the wooden spoon, man. Let's see any others. Down 18, Owie. Oh, I see me. I'm up 8 places. I'm up 8 places. I'm on 109. The fact that I am doing better still than a lot of other Aussies who are living in the environment and see all the news and all that, I'm happy. I'm not happy with where I am at the moment. Just I've got to find things to make me feel better. Who gets the wooden spoon? Down 15, Rumney. Kate. Kate is only down 1 place, and Kate gets the wooden spoon. Oh, Kate. Let's see the rest of everyone. There we go. No movement down there. Okay, with research in hand, round 11, time to pick. And we start Thursday the 22nd at the Litter Tray. Cats are at home against the Dogs. Now, let's be honest, Dogs are on decent form. Cats, they haven't done much wrong either, have they? It's a tough one to call. Looking at it, I think Dogs are on the better short-term form with only 1 loss in the last 5. Saying that, Cats have only lost 2 in 5. Geelong do miss Dangerfield, who's a real kind of... That veteran and leadership from him is a big loss. I did see in the news that actually he's not going to be out for as long as initially thought, so that's a positive for them, and I think he's so important for them. He really, really is, even if it's that leadership on the pitch. Dogs, I think, potentially have the ability to dominate the midfield here, which could give that clear edge in the contest for sure. However, the Litter Tray, it's where Cats seem to win most often. They can just turn it on, can't they, and perform well. Oh, it's not an easy one to call. Not an easy one to call at all. Do you know what? I'm going to go with Dogs here. I think they may be able to upset the apple cart, as you say. And, you know, at the Litter Tray as well, I think Cats could win. Dogs could win this. Cats versus Dogs, who wins? If it's in our house, probably the Cats. But we're not in our house. Let's go with Dogs, a close one. Let's do Dogs by 4. A real close game. It's going to be hard to separate. Hard to separate. Next, Friday the 23rd, MCG is Essendon versus Richmond. Essendon, look, they had a bad week last week, didn't they? But they haven't necessarily lost 2 games in a row, have they, in recent form? So, yeah, Richmond, I know they've won 2, but I even against a poor Essendon side, I just can't see Richmond winning. You know, there's nothing going for Richmond at the moment, is there? They couldn't even beat North. No offence, North. Tigers, they're missing Tom Lynch, Noah Bolter as well, which does not help the cause. Eston, they do get Darcy Parish back, boosting that on-ball strength. So, it's only going towards Essendon here. Yeah, against a lower-ranked team, I think Essendon will thrive. So I am going to go with Essendon win by 25. Let's try that. Next, Saturday 24th, Marvel. Carlton versus GWS. Now, obviously, Carlton come off losing to the Swans. Yes. It just makes me laugh because I don't think Carlton are a very exciting team. And when people get wound up and then to lose to my team, hilarious. Giants midfield depth certainly is hit by injuries with players like Finn Callaghan. And it's hurting their recent form for sure. Carlton's attack struggled last week, but improvements should be expected. It should be expected. Will they lose 2 in a row? Maybe not. And the Blues do regain players such as Blake Acres, Tom de Koning, which is a huge boost. They could have probably done with them last week in their loss to Sydney Swans. Marvel Stadium home crowd advantage goes to Carlton. And so, I would say GWS probably a little bit less formidable away from home. So I'm going to go with a Carlton win by 6. Close one again, maybe. Yeah, by 6. Carlton, look, I think they've probably only had 1, maybe 2 performances where they've done well in front of goal, like really dominated. So let's try a close one, shall we? Right, MCG, Hawthorn versus Lions. It's been a real shock for Lions, who were in top spot, and then they go and draw to North and then lose to D's. Now, Hawthorn going up to Darwin and losing to Gold Coast, that's not that bad, is it? Because they actually still performed all right. They got a decent score. They didn't lose by a lot. And I think, being at the MCG as well for Hawthorn, can they go with a 2-game losing streak? I think Eston might lose again. Hawthorn, they're showing improvements, aren't they? And fight despite a young lineup. So that's really impressive. Lions have a poor MCG record. That is not going to help. I always say that history in terms of sport is not necessarily a sign of what will happen in the future in sport. But they do not necessarily have the greatest record at the MCG. Hawks benefit from home-like comfort, so it's not their home, but they don't have to travel too far. Yeah, it's not an easy one because Brisbane could win this. They could win this. Oh, Hawks. Let's go Hawks. Hawks by 9. These games so far don't necessarily have blowouts written in them. They don't. So tough. Okay, Marvel Stadium, North versus Collingwood. Yes, North did come off a win into this game. Surely they will not beat Collingwood. Surely not. It's definitely a confidence boost, but it is a rare win, to say the least. Collingwood, top of the league, and they deserve it for sure. They've been vastly superior. Magpies, they do have Darcy Moore, Jordan De Goey out, but they certainly have a lot more depth in the field than North have. So there's got to only be one. There's no real home away advantage here because they'll both play at Marvel enough. It's not it's not a distance they have to really travel. It's got to be a Collingwood win here, and they should win comfortably, really, shouldn't they? But North have been plucky. So let's do Collingwood by 30. All right, next, Optus Freo versus Adelaide. Freo was starting to struggle a little bit. They got a good win last week. Poor 3 losses in a row now. They're not doing well. It's a real dip in form for Port, isn't it? Freo, yes, they did lose 2. But that was a real confident win last week, which they really needed. They're back at home now as well. The problem is Power are missing some midfield strength here. Players like Horn Francis and others, it just does not look favourable for Port at the moment. Really doesn't. And that long Perth trip just favours Dockers for sure. So look, Freo here. Freo by 50. Oh, big. I feel bad for Port. But Freo by 50. Okay, 3 more games to go. Adelaide Oval, Sunday 25th. Now, yeah, Crows, they did not play amazingly well. They were okay, but nothing special. But they are now back at home where they do perform well. They're against a West Coast team who may have a little bit of confidence after last week's win, but it means absolutely nothing because they're still 6 points behind North, who are one place above them. If you look at it, Crows, they're up in 6th place, so significant differences here. I'm trying to think of anything I can think of to aid in West Coast's cry for another win, but they're still hampered by lengthy injuries and they're away from home. And I think Oval does seem to have a huge advantage. Now, normally it has a huge advantage for Port as well, but they're not making the most of that. So, look, Crows to win this. Crows, I don't think it'll be huge. Crows by 12. I don't think it'll be a huge win. MCG. D's versus Swans. We're going back down to Victoria. Look at the form. Melbourne were dead and buried at the start of the season. They looked old and slow. They're 4 out of 5 now. That's pretty decent. Look, Swans, we are still hampered. Again, we're still hampered by injuries. But, we were able to get performances too. It just sucks that we still got McInerney out. Joel Amati was back. I'm pretty sure he's still back. But players... like Papley, we need him to hurry up and get better. We need him to get better, especially if we can make the top 8 and he's ready for finals. I don't know how long his injury's for. Demons welcome players back like Jack Lever and Jack Viney as well. Sorry, Jake Lever. And that's boosting their midfield and defence for sure. I know, look, I'm not going to go against Swans because they're my team and hopefully lots of people will vote for D's and Swans will win and that'll help me. So I can't see us winning by a lot if we do win. So Swans by 12. I've got nothing else for you. I can't say why Swans are going to win except they're my team. So there you have it. Last game, Marvel Saints versus Gold Coast. Now, yes, it is at Saints' home, but Saints are crap. The fact that Saints are even 13th on the same points as Sydney is just painful for me. That was a huge shock loss. And I know their form is not great, but to lose like they did last week, not good at all. Not good at all. But the Suns, they're playing with confidence. They're having fun. Gold Coast lineup stability, there's still a few injuries, but it has improved for their consistency. Marvel may favour Saints, but it's not going to help. It's not going to do enough, is it? It's not going to make their players better, is it really? So Gold Coast win. They should continue to stay in that top 8. So Gold Coast here by 67. So to recap the results, Western Bulldogs by 4, Essendon by 25, Carlton by 6, Hawthorn by 9, Collingwood by 30, Freo 50, Crows 12, Sydney 12, and Gold Coast 67. That is a random number. Let's see how it goes this week. Hopefully I will continue to rise, and then I'll have a bad week, and then I will plummet. We will see. But once again, thank you so much for joining me. You join me every week, and it is awesome. Been really busy recently, so I haven't had any live watch-alongs in the last couple of weeks, but I will do my best. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and as always, I will catch you next time.